what is going on, guys? We are here for round one's track guide for the Premier Endurance League's 2-hour GT3 videos, brought to you by Virtual Motorsport Mentor. So, pretty excited for you guys to kick off for Season 2. It's been a nice little break between Season 1 and Season 2. Congratulations to the champion from Season 1. Pretty unique style of tracks this season, as I've discussed with Ricky. Probably not a highlight of tracks that I would pick, but I'm looking forward to seeing how the racing goes for all you guys. So, and I might make an appearance at one or two of the events, so pretty excited for that. So today we're going to go through Barcelona Historic version with the Porsche 992 GT3R. We're using the iRacing fixed setup with full fuel, so it's not a fantastic lap, but it's enough to give you guys some understanding of where we're placing the car and what we're doing. So hopefully this helps you guys. I've done it so each guide will be roughly about a month to 3 weeks prior to the next event, so you've got plenty of time to sort of go through it, learn from it. If it helps you guys, then great, and then obviously get your sets ready and get everything ready for the next race. So without further ado, let us kick into the Porsche at Barcelona. Thanks, guys. Alright guys, so now we're going to break down the lap. So as you're heading down the front straight, obviously top gear, max throttle. You're starting to set yourself up as you come past the 300 metre board. You want to drop 2 tyres over the back of the curb, and you're looking for that 100 metre board. Once you get to the 100 metre board, that's where you slam on the brake pedal. Nice big brake pressure, lots of threshold braking, so big pressure early, then start to taper that pedal off as you're coming into the corner. So as you come into the corner, it's a little bit unique, the line in, and it can bite you as well. So I use this little fence post just here on the fence. It's pretty hard to spot at full speed. That's my turning point for the corner. Third gear. As I turn in from this point, now bear with me here guys, I want to get the car to rotate on the curb, but I want the right hand tyres behind the yellow curb, and I want the left hand tyres on the road, or practically on the road. Now, to get this right lap after lap is very challenging, and I'm 100% guaranteeing that at some point you're going to grab the curb. It's going to happen. To be that accurate for 2 hours is going to be pretty impossible, but that is your optimal line to get the car to rotate and to set yourself up in a good place to actually focus on your exit speed. So as you come off here in third gear, You want to sort of hug that curb all the way until you get to the end of the green bit. Once you get to the end of the green bit, you sort of stay to the right-hand side until you get to the end of the curb. So it's only an extra 1.5 meters. Once you get to that point, I want you to start rotating the car at the corner. 2 tyres over the curb. I try and do it about half a car length before we get to this yellow sleeping curb. Oh, I think they call them sleeping policemen. So once I get to that point, I can then start to pick the throttle up nice and aggressive. The car's going to slide off the curb and I'm going to start heading towards the inside of the circuit. Once I get to the inside of the circuit, I lift off the throttle to keep the nose of the car on the curb. So I'm sort of dancing on the throttle and the brake to keep the nose in until I get to this point here. When I'm directly in line with that little flag marshal hut, that is when I pick the throttle up full noise. Still make sure what I will say is if you are off the curb and you are even a foot wide of that curb, when you pick that throttle up, you're in trouble. You have to be like touching the curb practically. I don't want you on the curb, but you have to have them right side tyres on that white line. If you don't, when you pick that throttle up, you are going to end up way wider than you need to be and probably cause yourself some problems. So pick the throttle up nice and aggressive like. Let the car rotate off the corner. You're going to come wide to this point here. I'm braking under the Repsol bridge. Nice big brake pressure. 5th gear, back to 2nd. I turn in. I sort of start to diagonal the car at the corner quite early before the bridge. But I don't officially turn the car until I get to the end of the curb on the left-hand side here. Once I get to the curb, I start to rotate the car in. And I want to hold it tight through this part here. And then, once I get to this 2nd Repsol sign, that's when I start to pick up the throttle. So from this point, you'll notice the car's come off the curb about 1.5 feet. And then from that point there, I'm in line with the 2nd Repsol sign. And then I can start to rotate the car back around, pick the throttle up. The car's going to slide. Get used to it sliding out here, especially as the run goes on. Then his tyres are going to wear out real quick. This track is just known for high tyre wear. So as you come down, now this one's a bit unique. So if I just scoot forward a little bit, there is a little wall right there behind the main wall. And I know it's stupid hard to mark, but that is where you brake the car. But when you're looking at it from this perspective, you're looking at sort of 3/4 of the way down the curb, and you are sort of like, there's nothing else that I can really show you, you know what I mean? Maybe you could say in line with that that tall pole there, but even that's going to be hard to spot if you're in the heat of a battle, you know? So it's definitely a field corner. You want to kind of probably be more on the conservative side of stopping early rather than later. If you run the car too deep into the corner here, it's going to cost you more problems than if you're slightly too early, you know? Like, you can maybe lose a 10th or 2 on entry here, but you're not going to lose a 2nd or 2 on like you would if you lost it on exit, because it's just, there's a lot more that can go wrong on the back half of this track than the front half of this corner. So as you come down here, get the car to sort of diagonal in, because you're coming from the left-hand side back across to the right-hand side. I sort of in line with that big tree at the end there. I sort of let the car diagonal in. Once I get to the end of the curb, I start to turn the car at the corner nice. I rotate the car around. A little tiny bit of the green part of the curb here is fine, just to help the car. You'll get to this point here, the car will start to slide off. This is the point where you actually start to pick the throttle up to help the car rotate slightly. You want to make sure you sort of line up with the orange block, and then you know that you've got enough room to run the car over the curb, over the back, and chase it down. Up to 4th gear as you're heading down the hill. So 3rd, 2nd, back to 3rd, back to 4th. Then I use the curb at the start here. And I'm going back to 3rd gear here. So you can use 2nd. I'm finding that I'd rather brake a little bit earlier and just go back to third gear, sort of run the car in early. So I turn in quite early, 3 red blocks from the end. I use quite a little bit of curb on the inside here to get the car to rotate. And then I pick that throttle up, the car pushes, but I can get it so I'm back on just before these yellow little curbs here. Then get as close as you possibly can as you run up the hill. Let the car rotate right across to the left-hand side, up to 4th. When I get to the end of the curb here, I slightly start to turn the car at the corner. Not like a real aggressive turn, but I just start to get the car to rotate in slightly. And it's not until I get to this point here where I'm nearly at the yellow curb that I really start to rotate the car. All in 4th gear through here, I want to put 2 wheels over the back of the curb here and then carry the speed out. And I don't really want to get the car off this green bit until we get to the escape road. And you kind of want to cut across the escape road slightly. So like at that sort of trajectory, the car's going to run out to the outside of the road because you're going to be carrying a lot more speed. Up to 5th gear. And then you're looking for just before the 100, or just after the 100 meter board. So it's quite a late braking zone here. So I'm using just before the sign, there's like the end of the gravel bit here, sort of in between the sign and the gravel bit. It's a moving brake marker here, especially as the fuel load comes off and stuff like that. It does tend to change. So what we want to do from this point, nice big brake marker, 5th gear, back to 2nd, stay as close to the right hand side as possible. And I don't turn the car in until the green curb part ends here. So once I turn in from this point here, I'm deeper into the corner, rotate back in 2nd gear, clip the curb, and then the car's going to start to wash out. And then I want to make sure it washes out to about this point in the track, because then what I'm going to do is, you see how I've run off the line, but I'm actually going to double apex. So I'm going to come back in, clip the curb right here, stay on this curb till you get to the cone, and then start to diagonal the car straight across to the inside for the hairpin. Up to 3rd, and then back to 2nd. Same again here. Clip the apex, in line with the tree, let the car run a little bit wide, then start to rotate back. Once you start to rotate back and you can get the car to hit the back end of this curb right by this yellow little sleeping curb, that is where you want to be back at full throttle, rotating the car off the corner, carry the speed out, use all the track on the exit, up to 4th. Now, turning in here, you turn in at the end of the curb on the left-hand side. You want to put 2 tyres over this curb here. You get as close to the cones as possible. Use all this part of the track here. Up to 4th. Stay in 4th through here. Let the car track right out. Get as close to the yellow curb as you feel comfortable. Do not hit it because you will go flying through the air. But you want to get as close as possible with it. Still in 4th. And then as you get to the end of the curb, start to turn the car at the corner again. You want to lift on entry and make sure the car rotates into the curb just as you're getting to the pit wall. If you can do that, then that way the car's going to get a much squarer exit out. You're still going to use all the track. You're going to run over the back of the line. But there you go, guys. That is your walkthrough lap at Barcelona in the GT3 car on the historic version for PEL Endurance League. So I hope this has helped you guys. Good luck for round 1, and can't wait to see how you all go. Thanks, guys.